Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Thank you so much for being here. And let's see. Uh, Emerald D. Emerald Durr, not D. Emerald Durr. Thank you so much for being here first. Wasn't that name different before? I mean, no matter. I mean, yeah. But anyway, thank you so much for being first. That Edie girl, Angela M. That Edie girl, what have you done? You've gifted 5 Royal Sussex memberships. That is so kind and so generous of you. Thank you so much. I'm going to see to it that you get your flowers for that. That's very, very kind of you. Okay. Let me do this. Although that's not flowers. Where are the flowers? Maybe I don't have any. Oh, there we go. There's some flowers. Okay, so I'm going to shrink me down a little bit here. Okay, and here comes your flowers. Thank you very much for the 5 memberships, and thank you for being a member. And also, congratulations to the lucky recipients of those memberships. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. That is extraordinarily kind of you. I really do appreciate that. Hello to Compton Caligal. Elvis Minot. Am I saying that right? Maggie Joan Garcia. Deborah Anderson. Gwendolyn Daniels. Lizzie, thank you so much for being here. Church Nelly, thank you. All right, let's get on with it because I think I had a lot of stuff to cover. So, well, we'll start with this right here. Okay, Wild About Harry. Remember that song? I'm just wild about Harry, and he's just wild about me. Oh, I'm just wild about Harry, and he's just wild about me. He's as sweet as chocolate candy and sweet as honey from a bee. And I forget the rest of the words. Okay. But anyway, and poor Willie, I am so jealous of my brother. And you ought to be, because your brother is a high achiever. He just does not get the credit he deserves for that. But he is definitely functioning at a much higher level than his education would allow us to believe. But aside from that, the way he's maneuvered himself all these years has been nothing less than extraordinary. You know, with all of the petty criticism and such that Harry receives, I would not put my money on any of those people that have spoken ill of him if the circumstances were similar, because I don't think any of them would survive. I don't think they would make it. I don't think that they could do it. Harry just is born with talents. He is very talented. So, royal or not, born into wealth or not, does not matter. He has his own innate talent, and it shows. So, that being said, Henry VIII had to say this: the Brits want to pretend they get to pick and choose, but in reality, it is this: you either believe in and support the hereditary monarchy, where Harry and his nuclear family absolutely deserve security, or you don't believe in the whole thing. There is no middle ground. So I take that to mean that if you believe in this idea that that hereditary monarchy is supposed to function at a or should I say not function, but should live in luxury, should have these sprawling estates gifted to them, should live off the public purse, use the helicopter like an Uber. If you believe that for some of them, then you really ought to believe that for all of them. When public officials take the oath, am I correct in that they take an oath to support and defend, or however the language is, that you are going to, I guess, pay your respects, be respectful and dutiful? And what is the language of that oath? Where you promise that you will pretty much be submissive to the monarch and all of their heirs and such and such. Well, in practice, that's not what's happening. In practice, people are just kissing up to some of the people in that family. And of course, the others, well, they are either receiving little or no attention, or there's this adversarial relationship between some of those public officials and, shall we say, the Sussexes. The last Home Secretary should have handled this. It's been since 2019 that there has been any type of security assessment updated for Harry and his family. 2019. Harry's been over there. We know the kids were there when the Queen was alive. They managed to slip in and out of the country unnoticed. And since 2019, there has been no updated assessment. We all know exactly what's at play. They don't want the Sussexes over there. They do not want the competition. They do not want the attention taken away from them. They want them punished and living as exiles because it will imply that they misbehave, that they've done something terribly wrong, and that they're not good enough to receive that type of security. But I keep saying this, his father is king. If the king is truly a head of state and not just a figurehead, then his family, which includes his son, his daughter in law, and his grandchildren, should have the best possible security anywhere they live. I think that they should pay for security for the Sussexes and maintain security wherever they go. The royal protection officers do protect the sovereign and his family outside of the country. And of course, they work with their counterparts, such as the Secret Service or whoever. Okay, I'm not going as far as saying, all right, we got to have Secret Service protection for the Sussexes in the United States. I believe it should happen, but I know it's not likely to happen. And it would do nothing but cause trouble if that point came where that was in question. Even though it should not matter, Harry did not ask to be born into that family. He did not ask to assume those risks at birth. This is something he was born into. Now, there was a promise of protection implied, a care of duty implied from his birth. How do you take that away because of a disagreement? There'll always be disagreements. That is the worst way to handle it because it was very, very dangerous. And it continues to be dangerous for the Sussexes. After this, we really need to address the relationship between the monarchy and the press. This is something that Charles has created. This whole relationship with the royal rota is something that comes from Charles. Charles got into bed with the press so that he could have that worn out billfold laying next to him whenever they choose to be together. We know that they don't live together, but whenever he wants that old worn out purse next to him, that that burlap bag of dust. uh, that old used tea bag whenever he wants that thing near him, right? And eventually he wanted to marry her. God, that was hard to say. Um, uh, because he chose to marry that bovine of a woman, um, he had to go to bed with the press. There will be some debate about whether the Sussexes are truly safe because of this media hate campaign, also fueled by people within that family. So, oh man, I'm trying to be nice. Anyway, Rupert Myers says, this is good news. He didn't choose to be born a prince. Our society made him famous and a target of intrigue, curiosity, and worse, before he spoke his first word, is the very least we owe Prince Harry. Absolutely. They owe this man. No doubt about it. This is something that Harry has been born into. There should have never been a day. I don't care if Harry stood next to that kid and threw eggs at his father. There should have never been a day where he did not have royal protection. He's had royal protection his entire life. He's been shadowed by these special forces and whatever they are, people. And to suddenly take it away because Harry refused to drop a case against Willie's people for leaking and briefing. We all know that happened. And one of the people closest to William received the Royal Victorian Order. He was on the Christmas list. What was it, last year? Or New Year's list? He received a trinket from the Royals household for his, I guess, loyalty to the crown. Okay, that's all well and good, but to give that to someone for targeting a family member, that is disgusting. Anyway, let's move on. I'm going to go to the next slide. Okay, so what is this? Meghan will release her first cookbook in 2026, featuring recipes from her Netflix series as Duchess plots expansion of her As Ever brand. Why is it a plot? How come she just can't expand her business like anyone else? And as for a cookbook, anybody who doubts that there's a cookbook down the line ain't paying attention. Of course, there's going to be a cookbook. Will it be in the year 2026? We don't know. They don't know. These are people just sitting around thinking of something to contribute to that disgusting news organization, the Daily Fail. Anybody could have thought of something like that. Oh, do you think Meghan's going to come out with a cookbook? So the likelihood is yes. I don't depend on the AI, but I thought, this is a very interesting question. I said, how many celebrities have had cookbooks, have sold cookbooks or whatever? And the answer is there's no definitive count for celebrity cookbooks because the definition of celebrity varies. Actors, musicians, influencers, chefs, and new ones are constantly published. But major retailers list thousands, with platforms like Barnes and Noble showing hundreds, and authors like Martha Stewart publishing dozens, showing a massive ongoing market driven by lifestyle appeal. So the answer is yes, she's going to come out with a cookbook. When will that happen? Who the hell knows? But I want you to take a look at something. The internet is obsessed with Meghan's easy one pan pasta recipe that's perfect for lazy nights. Yum. Um, so Meghan likes to cook, and she's been cooking on television. She shared things on her TIG blog. Yeah, there's going to be a cookbook. There's plenty good evidence that there will be a cookbook, and not just one, probably several. Uh, Meghan cooks. Look at that. AI Meghan is cooking. Yes, there's going to be a cookbook. You don't have to be a genius to figure that out. All you have to do is say, gee, Meghan cooks. She hasn't had a cookbook yet, technically not her own cookbook. So, yes, there will be one. She's already put out a cookbook, if you think about it, together, our community cookbook, which didn't that go to the New York Times bestseller list? I have a copy. A lot of the squaddies have a copy. Have I opened it up? Not since the day I got it. But I do want to make that green rice one of these days, whatever that rice was. And I think 2026 is going to be the year that I'm going to open up that cookbook and make one of those recipes, especially since I love rice. So, yes, you see right there the forward by Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. Meghan wrote the forward for the book. It was Meghan's idea for the book. And let me just remind people, especially if you're new to the Sussex Squad, picture it. London, 20, what year was that? 2018, 2019? But anyway, as a response to the Grenfell fire, a lot of women started cooking as often as they could meals that would meet the dietary needs of people from their community, which, of course, halal is usually practiced by people of the Islamic faith. So they cook. Meghan went there to volunteer. She literally rolled up her sleeves. It wasn't with cameras and all that kind of stuff. She just went there to volunteer. And Meghan was curious about something. She said, how come you're only open a couple days a week? They said, well, we can't afford to open more days than that. Now, of course, a lot of people were displaced because of the Grenfell fire, and a lot of people were living in emergency housing for a long time. And how much carry out do you want to eat? You want a good home cooked meal, right? So these mothers, grandmothers, aunts, and such, they volunteered in the kitchen. Well, um, eventually, after Meghan gave it some thought, like about 10 seconds, she said, you know what? We need to write a cookbook. We need a cookbook. And the money from that cookbook can help keep the kitchen open more often. And so the women got together and brainstormed and gave their recipes for the book. Meghan said, I'll write the forward. Now, out of all the royals that have gone to that kitchen, Meghan was the only one who had a solution, who could do some problem solving. Not the Queen, not that dimwit William and that no talking wife of his, and Charles, and none of those people. They did not have a clue what needed to be done, but Meghan did. And of course, they like to downplay it, and I mean, come on, that early years stuff where you just take other people's information and make it your own. Actually, you don't do it, your staff does it. That's kids play. This is something substantial. I mean, I literally have the book. I'm going to make that green rice this year. That is what a 5 a.m. text message, not text message, but email, that's what you get from a person who sends a 5 a.m. email. Results. A clear and concise solution, not a bunch of posturing and such. Meghan saw a problem and she had an idea, and now the Hub Kitchen has been a huge success, and the proceeds are still coming in. And of course, Meghan was smart enough to make sure none of that money was getting rolled over into the Royal Foundation, because they would have gladly have taken that money so that they can do some more of that early year nonsense. But you know what, you guys, I want to be fair to Kate Middleton, because since she has gone through the trouble and she's made an effort to do some of that kind of stuff herself, I think we should give her a chance to respond.
Well, obviously it'd be, I would love to have met her, and she's obviously she's an inspirational woman to look up to, obviously to this day, and going forward and things. It is, it's a wonderful family. The members who I've met have achieved a lot, and very inspirational. So yeah, I do.
Oh, you sure do, Kate. You sure do. As a matter of fact, nobody does it better than Kate. So nobody should ever say that she is that she's
reasons Catherine is so popular amongst certain demographics, and I'm going to say older people and men, is because she says absolutely nothing. Yeah. She's a good little girl who keeps quiet and doesn't complain, doesn't do anything, doesn't rock the boat, and is a very traditional, old-fashioned, mute woman.
I tried to find that one day. And do you know that they actually did not remove the video? They just removed the audio. They did. They removed the audio from one of the platforms where it was shared. And anyway, she's a mostly mute woman, which is good because she doesn't have a lot to say. It's just the way it is. Anyway, so there you go. There you go. There's another image of Meghan with the Hub Kitchen. I mean, this was a huge, phenomenal success. And I think that the rest of that family, well, actually, these two in particular, they did not like the optics, especially this being such a proud moment for Meghan. Harry was so proud of his wife. He was, well, let me show you how proud he was. Let me show you. This was Harry the day that they had that cookout and, introduced the book and everything. Amazing. Look at the way he's looking at her. Huh? Look at how he's looking at her. And of course, being such a big occasion, she invited her mother. This was huge. And they couldn't stand it. You see that tent? That tent over their heads there, you can see it has, I think it's the Prince of Wales cipher or something on there, style or whatever. So that is one of those things provided by the palace. The problem is that it was too successful. That Meghan took something like a lack of funding for this Hub Kitchen, created the book along with the ladies of the Hub Kitchen, and it was a huge success, and they just could not take it. They did not want Meghan to be successful. I'm convinced of that. They did not want her to be successful. They didn't even pretend. They only pretend enough for the wedding. And then after that, the knives came out. That's when the knives came out. And Dan Wooten, who used to be the entertainment reporter, he switched over to doing royal coverage. That was not something that he really wanted to do. I mean, of course, he took to it like a fish to water, but he was satisfied being more of an entertainment reporter. But being one of the first ones to report the thing about Rose and William and all that, they were just like, look, you need to go after the Sussexes. And so he did. And he actually let the cat out the bag with this statement right here, saying how it's so much easier to blame everything on racism when the truth is it's the royal family. He said so himself. This is why they never, ever want to bring any bullying claims into a court of law, because Discovery is a mother and all kind of stuff would come out. And they're not ready for that. They're not ready for it. So, anyway, let's continue. Gonna take woo-woo away. Say goodbye, Dan Wooten, and then we'll have a little more tea. Another picture from the cookbook, and another one of those days where Meghan went to volunteer. And of course, right here, Meghan joins a night of cooking and storytelling inspired by her first project as a royal. Okay? But cooking did not start there for Meghan. Take a look at this one right here. In his forthcoming memoir, Prince Harry says that he almost went into shock after eating Meghan's cooking for the first time. I wasn't used to such flavorful food. My tongue nearly escaped my mouth. It was so spicy, right? Harry's been eating good because he's eating some real food. And look at this one. Meghan's pre-Harry food career. So 2013, Home and Family. 2014 to 17, The Tig. Power Lunch with Meghan, 2006. I'm sorry, I think that was 2016, right? I think so. Let's see. The Real Girl's Kitchen, 2014. The Today Show cooking segment with that weirdo Matt Lauer. That was 2016. And of course, Chopped Jr., 2016. So Meghan has been a foodie and she's been cooking for a long time. Let me see, 2013. What is that? Is that 12, 13 years ago? Right? So she's been cooking for a long time. And they want to pretend like she's new to this. Then they're going to pretend like, oh, why is she writing a cookbook? She doesn't know much about cooking. Well, Rachel Ray, the very successful Rachel Ray. Remember Meghan was on Rachel Ray's show, which they do not have that listed here, do they? Well, anyway, thanks to the squaddy who put this together. Rachel Ray will tell anyone, I'm not a chef. I'm a cook. She only ever admits to being a cook. She likes to cook. Do you know how Rachel Ray got discovered? Doing demos at a grocery store. And because of her bubbly personality, because of her ability to explain things easily, problem solving for people who have problems in the kitchen, she became incredibly successful. And so, yeah, there was a Rachel Ray show where Meghan was on the show and she told Rachel Ray, she says, actually, my first name is Rachel Rachel Meghan Markle, not Meghan Markle. It's Rachel Meghan Markle. So that's how most people found out that Meghan's name is actually Rachel. Okay. So yeah, the cookbook, that's an easy one. Yes, there will be a cookbook. Oh, I should have warned you guys. I should have warned you. That person, Jan Moore, has been at it again. She wrote this long, drawn-out article mentioning that it's been, what does it says? Oh, let me see. I can barely see that. Let me put this on a bigger screen so I can see it. Okay. I know that scared you. I do apologize. I hope nobody's eating. You know what? I really needed to have like some music to go with that introduction, shouldn't I? Something that sounds dark and foreboding and ominous. Oh, I know just the one. I know just the one. You know what it deserves? Okay, let me find it. I have just the solution. And next time I will have that music cued so that way you can have a warning. Is this one it? Uh-oh. Oh, maybe not. Oh, well. Oh, what to see? You having trouble sharing? Try sharing again. Oh, that's okay. I'll share it later. But yeah, so anyway, it says here, has it really been more than 300 days since the Duchess of Sussex launched her, what is that, deathless as ever brand? What a horrible way to deathless. Anyway, it seems like yesterday. It seems like 1,000 years ago. It seems like a good idea. It seemed like the worst thing to hit the shelves since Fergie put her name to a range of diet pudding teas back in something. Why is it we're being inundated with all of these messages today? I guess people have been counting 300 days, but there seem to be at least a couple of these toxic people that want to wake up on one of the first days of the year and criticize Meghan's products. I don't care how many products Meghan had initially. They sold out. So she ramps up the order. It sells out again. Now, okay, full disclosure, the orange marmalade, I'm sure there is plenty of it. I am going to be very frank. My favorites are the raspberry and the apricot. Most people love the raspberry. Even people who say, oh, it's loose, it's runny, I bet you they finished the jar. That raspberry is like the best preserve out there. It really is. I don't care what anybody says. That stuff is phenomenal. And everybody knows it. We've seen the taste test again and again. Okay, so the orange marmalade, I have a bit of a sweet tooth. It's not my favorite. And so I don't think it's sold as strongly as the others, which is not a problem. That's why they have a variety so that you can choose what you want. And so because Meghan has added the marmalade to, what was it, if you order X amount of whatever you order, I think it is. Don't let me get that wrong though. You get marmalade with it. So what? It's not a big deal. I tell you one thing, let them put those chocolate bars back up there and they will be gone in 20 minutes like they were last time. Okay? Meghan has a good thing going here. And all of the criticism and speculation in the world is not going to change that. You know what Meghan has that Jan Moore doesn't have? I shouldn't say that, should I? Okay. Well, yeah, what the hell? You know what Meghan has that she doesn't have? Meghan has a product line. Meghan has as ever. What does Jan have? A bunch of empty words. That's it. All she has is her mouth. It might be crooked, but it's her mouth, and that's all she has. Her lack of symmetry does not end in the most obvious of places. It really continues up and down the length and breadth of her body. There's a lack of symmetry. And her mouth just happens to be one of them. Anyway, but yeah, it was a hideous article. I do not bother with it. Do not ruin your day. It's awful. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It's just a bunch of negative comments, one after the other, for the sake of being negative. It's an attempt to dress down Meghan and her products. Netflix. Is Netflix like the largest movie streamer out there? Netflix has partnered with Meghan, which is why I say they don't have a case against Meghan. They just don't. If Meghan was doing something so atrocious, why would Netflix continue to support Meghan and Harry if everything was just so terrible? They're not dumb people. They don't throw good money after bad. There's a reason for it. Now, maybe that reason is not obvious to us as of yet, or maybe it was very obvious and we just didn't see it. But whatever the case may be, as ever is a success. With Love, Meghan is a success. 7,000 videos available on Netflix. And Meghan made it to the top 10. In 25 markets, she made it to the top 10, including, guess what? The UK, where this unsymmetrical individual lives. Where this thing lurks around at the Tesco's. Where she gets that horrible hairdo. That's where she lives. She lives in the UK. And yet she traveled all the way. Oh, let me show you this. Let me show you this. Which she designed herself with her calligraphy that I find menacing. This is one of those little vignettes that they have on, the Daily Mail, where they have their senior reporters. They have them sit in front of a camera and pour their heart out about certain issues and topics. So Jan Moore sat there looking like she is terribly constipated and in pain. And she's going on and on about, oh, well, I could barely watch it. And of course, the products have her calligraphy, which she designed herself, which with her calligraphy that I find menacing. What is menacing about her calligraphy? This is the woman who said in so many words that she cannot stand Tom Cruise's face. She made some comment about Tom. Listen to me. She made reference to Tom Cruise's appearance. Seriously, she did that. Wait, is this working? I said Jan Moore, the epitome of elegance and beauty of our age. That which gives the beauty industry fits, right? Not fits of giggles, but just fits. She had the nerves to lash out at Tom Cruise's appearance. She did. Calling attention to herself. Why would she do that? Why would she do that? Wouldn't you rather we just not think about it? I know I'd rather not think about it. Now, she has a right to express herself, but I'm not saying she should, and certainly not every time. She don't have to say everything she's thinking, but she did. Why? I don't know. Tom Cruise hasn't done anything to her. She said, I know he's a charismatic gnome, but even as a Hollywood A-lister devoted to daredevilry, Cruise gives me the creeps. Tom Cruise gives her the creeps. I know he's charismatic, right? I know he's a charismatic gnome, of course, as in garden gnome, right? Those little figures people have in their gardens, right? But even as a Hollywood A-lister devoted to daredevilry, Cruise gives me the creeps. Damn. Seriously? She actually sat there and wrote that. Because she doesn't creep anybody out. So today, she releases this it's a long article, doing everything she can to heave negativity upon as ever, picking it apart. Oh, it's been 300 days. It seems like it's been much longer. That's only because you're looking. All you got to do is look away. I'm sure people do that to her all the time. They just look away. Look away. And then you don't have to worry about how many days it's been. But it doesn't end there. The British standard of beauty herself actually went to Montecito twice. She's gone twice. Montecito is a place that you go. It's not a place that you just end up. You go to Montecito. It's not a resort town. You're either there on business or you're there to see someone. You might even want to go to one of those quaint little shops, which is what she did. She went to Godmother's. Look at her sitting there with her eyes closed real tight. She has this look on her face like she is squeezing out the most difficult note that any musician could ever try to play. But it's not squeezing out a musical note. It's squeezing out, massaging the criticisms of someone that she's never even met about a product that so many people love. Meghan has produced quality products. And as someone who has spent an alarming amount of money supporting the Duchess of Sussex, let me tell you something. I don't really care for the orange marmalade. I used it to make cookies. Certainly wasn't going to waste it, but I used it with the cookies and it was fantastic. But it's not my favorite spread. So she wants to build a case against Meghan about the orange marmalade. And so did another content creator. She goes to Godmother's in Montecito, which is very stalker-like behavior. I'm not saying she's a stalker, but I'm just saying it's very stalker-like behavior. For someone who does not like Meghan, for someone who seems to be anguished by the idea that you must acknowledge her, she certainly spends a lot of time walking in Meghan's footsteps. Why? If it's causing you that much anguish, that much pain, I mean, look at her face. Look at her face. I don't know how long this video was. Was it 5 minutes, 10 minutes? She sat there like she was at the trials of Nuremberg. She sat there like she was auditioning for 12 Angry Men. Like she was an extra in To Kill a Mockingbird. Why? Just don't pay any attention to it. But that's not the point. The point is to drum up as much negativity as possible. Helen Baker says, all the negative, ridiculous articles about Meghan, Harry's security, and Archie and Lily going to the UK are to distract from lazy Willie Leaks' $30 million salary and the royal family's helicopter rides. And not to mention their newest forever home, the new land grab forever home. Let's not forget that one. Thank you for the comment, and thank you so much for being a member. I have never seen anybody so anguished over a report. It seems like if it causes you that much pain, you shouldn't do it. I mean, she literally sat there moaning and whinging about Meghan's calligraphy, Meghan's products. She even had an article, why does Meghan have to be so hugsy wugsy? What adult woman says hugsy wugsy? And yet, now that the rest of the family cannot keep their hands off the public, you don't hear any mention of hugging. Where's her critique of Kate's hugs and William's hugs and a child running up to a stranger on Christmas to hug? Where's her critique of that? Now, tell the truth. How long did it take for you to notice that I substitute Miss Piggy How long did it take for you to notice that I substitute Miss Piggy for Jan? Tell the truth. How long did you sit there oblivious to the fact that I have substituted a Muppet for a Muppet? Took a while, didn't it? Didn't even notice at first, did you? LDSW says about Rachel Ray, she's got a huge boost to fame after she launched 30-minute meals on Food Network and famous as a guest on Oprah's daytime show. Yes, thank you very much for that. Oprah, I'm going to just say Oprah made Rachel Ray. Oprah produced April, what is her name? Rachel Ray's talk show. That was a Harpo production. So Oprah has made quite a few people that have gone on to huge success. Quite a few. and Rachel Ray was mostly unknown until her appearance on the Oprah Winfrey Show. Oh, by the way, thank you so much for 37 months membership. uh, well, oh, you saw it right away? Oh, okay. Joan Garcia says, Baron, let's call a spade a spade. Those writers and so-called journalists don't care one iota about Harry and Meghan. They only writing to make money. Thank you very much for the super chat. Yeah, I don't doubt that it's about the money, but it's also about those people with those public school educations, as they call it. A lot of those people went to school together. They have had some kind of connection to that institution for a long time in their families. Not to mention that some of them are just plain racist. I mean, it comes easy for them because of that. It really comes easy for them. There's no doubt about the racist nature of the reporting that comes from the tabloid media. Jan Moore referred to Meghan as a mutt, making reference to her mixed race status. I have the article. Now, she found a very highly stylized way to say it, but she, pointed out the fact that Meghan is biracial, using the term mutt. And that was deliberate. And Omid Scobie actually called her out for it. Omid Scobie himself, by the way, thank you so much for your comment. Omid Scobie, who himself is biracial, recognizes the dog whistle, and he called her out for it. I'll show it to you. I'm sure a lot of you all have seen it before, but I'm going to share it anyway. Where is it? Where is it? Yeah, but it was absolutely a dog whistle and quite deliberate. There we go. The British standard of beauty right there. Tragic irony of this Daily Mail columnist using a racist slur to rant about the biracial host of a podcast on the damaging labels used to dehumanize women. And you can see right there, oh dear, it is charming that the Duchess believes herself to be no introduction needed, one name ultra celebrity in the same league as Oprah, Adele, Beyonce, and Kermit. How ironic. But the truth is that for so many Americans, she stubbornly remains anonymous rather than mononymous. Still, how lovely to open up her home to another dumb mutt with barking issues. Just imagine poor Mamma Mia whimpering around the Montecito mansion, paws over her silky ears as Meghan recounts one more bloody time how she wrote to Procter & Gamble about his sexist washing up advert. So there you have it. I will admit it was very clever the way she did it, but it was a dog whistle and it was racist. Another dumb mutt with barking issues. The woman who can look at the state of New England and North Dakota at the same time. The woman who could look at New England and the state of North Dakota at the same time has the nerves to refer to our Duchess in such a hideous way. The woman who can see everything happening in a three-ring circus all at the same time. The only woman who manages to see every act set up at the Cirque du Soleil. Huh? The woman capable of looking both ways when she crossed the street at the same time. Woo! Yes, the woman who manages to look both ways, I promise you, it would take a very clever driver to ever nail her. You'd have to drive like what's his name? Steve McQueen in the movie Hunter. You'd have to drive like that. You'd have to drive like that movie Ronin, or what was the other one? Oh man, I can't remember. The one with Gene Hackman. Oh man. Anyway, what was I talking about? Which way did he go? Which way did he go? Church Nellie says, apologize to Miss Piggy right now, Baron. First for the pulled pork sandwiches. And now for being compared in looks to Hagatha. Yeah, she is a writer, just like Hagatha Christie. That's what we should call her, Hagatha Christie. Thank you, Church Nellie. You've actually given me some new material. Oh, Lord. Anyway, what could I say? Jan Moore always brings out the worst in me. Okay. Oh, I need to go back over here. So anyway, separated at birth. One went on to fame and a long-term relationship with Kermit the Frog. And the other one is easy to find at home most Friday and Saturday nights, as she has absolutely no place to go. Oh, and get this. Look who else fancies themselves a cook. Look who else likes to cook. Huh? Look who gets so excited it actually corrects every deficit they have. Huh? Look who gets so excited all of a sudden they don't even need corrective lenses. Interesting. Gosh, look at the size of that hand. Look at the size of that hand. I hope when she went to Godmother's and went pawing over all of those products that was set up at the table in Godmother's, I hope she didn't take that big hand and break anything. You know what I mean? Pick up one of the bottles of wine and smash it, or pick up one of the candles and crush it. I mean, she seems more than capable. She doesn't seem like someone with a delicate touch. You know what I mean? like a pat on the back could be fatal. That's what I'm trying to say. Like she's capable of bending the steering wheel, just trying to make a quick turn. I mean, she parallel parks, and all of a sudden the power steering is stripped out. What an awful person she is. She really is. This is her last trip to Montecito. She made sure that she set pools. You know what? I don't even know if she was in Montecito. This was also her last attempt to try to cross her legs. As you know, it's not easy for her to cross her legs. Most people can have their shin parallel, or that is vertical, straight up and down vertical, but not her. She has to extend her leg because that's the only way she can fight and get that other leg up there. She had to really fight and pull. What you did not see is her pulling that cuff, trying to get that leg up there. There's a lot of tension in those denim pants she's wearing. A lot of tension. If she sneezes, she'll kick over the table. Really. If she sneezes, she is going to kick over that table because there's too much tension. She's trying to pull that big leg, trying to look dainty. How's she gonna look dainty? I mean, come on now. Stop trying to be dainty. And as for those shoes, I know you think, wow, at least she was sensible to wear flats. Well, they flat now. They didn't start off as flats. There was like a, 1.25 inch heel, but well, she took care of that. All she had to do was walk around. Yeah, now they're flats. And you know what? I really feel for the flight attendants because if they wasn't there to greet her when she got on the plane, just imagine the shock when you asked them, "Would you like some a beverage?" Imagine the shock. I mean, it's not what you think. I know you think I'm saying the shock of seeing a famous columnist on the flight. Why? What y'all think I was talking about? I'm just saying the shock of seeing a real reporter from the Daily Mail. I'm not saying what y'all think I'm saying. Whew. Anyway. Oh Lord. Po-chair. Po-chair. That's all I can say is po-chair. Anyway, I don't have concrete proof at all, but after doing some research, I am going to allege that Jan Moore is the love child of veteran actor Jack Elam and Anne Ramsey. Two veteran actors. The information is still a little sketchy. I cannot prove it, but it is of my belief that Jan Moore is the love child of actors Jack Elam and Anne Ramsey. Life is not as dull as people think it is on those movie sets. It seemed like a bunch of waiting around until it's your turn. But no, there's ways to pass the time, and unfortunately, Jan Moore may very well be the result of that situation. So, anyway, again, it's alleged. Now, Ravak handling of Prince Harry's case reflects palace power under King Charles. This is also very interesting to me because I keep thinking back about how, um, what's that guy's name? Brer Rabbit, Tom Sykes, old Brer Rabbit. I keep thinking about how he was saying that Charles needs to relinquish authority to William. And I'm just like, why? Charles may be suffering from whatever illness he's suffering from, but he has not lost his marbles. He is still mentally fit to serve and do his job. And if William wanted to build a case against Charles, it's very difficult to build a case against your father. Very difficult to seize power from a reigning monarch when you've only done a handful of work engagements compared to your father. With what was it Charles had? Was it 503 separate engagements in 2024 or 2025? What is your justification for seizing power? So, under Charles, who, by the way, I still believe Charles made the decision while his mother was queen, he decided to exercise his authority with Ravak and just go ahead and put this matter to bed. That's what it appears to be. But let's see what Feminagra has to say, shall we? We always have to defer to Feminagra, which, by the way, make sure you guys do sign up to the website for Feminagra. They are doing the Lord's work. So, reports that Prince Harry is set to regain armed UK security marks a quiet but telling reversal by the British state. For years, officials insist he no longer met the threshold for protection. That claim now collapses under scrutiny. The danger never faded. However, what changed was the cost of denial. The decision sits with Royal and VIP Executive Committee, known as RAVAC. Operating under the Home Office, its latest assessment follows sustained pressure, legal exposure, and fresh evidence of real-world threats to Prince Harry. The threat level never changed. Harry did not shed risk when he stepped back from royal duty because the factors that shaped his exposure did not disappear. With a change in role, his last full security assessment in 2019 placed him in the highest threat category, equal to that of the monarch at the time, Queen Elizabeth II. A judgment shaped by his birth, sustained public exposure, and the hostility attached to his name, compounded by his status as a military veteran whose service in active combat further heightened his profile as a target beyond any role he held within the institution. Later events only underlined the reality. During a subsequent UK visit, a known stalker reached his vehicle while security teams recorded multiple breaches that required police intervention and advance notice to limit exposure. None of this came as new information. These incidents occurred after protection had already been reduced. The authorities responsible were fully aware of them when continuing to resist a fresh assessment. Now that's Neil. What is his name? Neil Basu. The former counterterrorism chief Neil Basu has publicly said Prince Harry should be on the protection list, calling his security risk very high. In an interview with Victoria Ward of The Telegraph, Basu revealed Harry ranked second only to the Queen in threat level during 2019. With risk rising since, he described the Duke as a very close to the top of the list, warning that the impact of any incident involving him has to be mitigated with full armed protection. Ravak did not act alone. Although the palace could intervene and prevent the approval being granted, it is believed to be unlikely, with the king understood to be keen to have his grandchildren visit home soil. The last time the monarch saw the children publicly was in February of 2022 at the late Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee celebration. But that's from LBC. That's not from those are not the words of Feminagra. That comes from the LBC. Anyway, let me see here. I see there is. Oh, Lorraine Esmeralda says, Baron always keeps us laughing. Even my teenager knows about Royal Sussex because I'm always tuned in rather. Thank you very much for that. And thank you for the super chat. And cheers to your teenager. And Lex says, Lex says, William has too many skeletons that have been trickling out. Sure has. He is bleeding money by blackmail, allegedly. He wants absolute power to force compliance and adulation. And this is what I believe about the bags of cash. I am going to allege that is the ultimate slush fund. That would be I'm alleging that if there were a scenario, and I'm speaking for Charles and his aide, the one that quit, I am going to allege that if there were people who needed their palms greased, as they say, you wouldn't want to use official accounts to do that, would you? You would want cash because cash is king. And who would notice it if it's in a, Fortnum and Mason bag? Who would even know it? So I don't doubt that the loyalty of the people around them come at a very high price. You want to keep them happy because they're keeping your secrets. So you want to keep them happy. So I will allege that there is a possibility that it is a very high cost for them to maintain their privacy. And as we know, they constantly trade stories. And let me see, I believe even Kinsey Schofield, didn't she even admit that in the past that they traded stories? It's been a few people that have said publicly and with great certainty that they trade stories. In order to save themselves, they will leak and brief against the Sussexes. And of course, we are still very suspicious about this whole thing with Sophie and that unfortunate accident. They say Sophie was in the motorcade. She had to rush home to tea. But we don't know who was in the car. We know who they said was in the car. Sophie may have very well have been a pawn, a lackey, a flunky, a patsy. We don't know. Interesting to think about, though, isn't it? Thank you, Legs. Okay. So, let me see. Did I do this yet? For years, official briefings insist that Ravek operated independently of the royal family, a claim repeated often enough to cast Prince Harry's objections as paranoia or invention. He was portrayed as confused, untruthful, and even reckless for suggesting palace involvement. I think he called it an old fashioned institution stitch up. Recent reporting now undermines that position. Sources openly acknowledge that palace intervention could still prevent approval, an admission that directly contradicts years of categorical denial. So, there are no guarantees. We still have to watch and wait. Kinsey said it before they put her in the budget. Thank you, Legs. I thought I heard that come out of her mouth. I thought I heard that coming from her. Thank you for clarifying that. Okay. The disparity in treatment is difficult to overlook. In February of 2020, authorities notified Prince Harry that they would remove his automatic police protection, even though he remained a working royal until his official departure in March of 2020. By contrast, Prince Andrew's publicly funded security was never formally or publicly revoked after he stepped back from royal duty in 2019, continuing to in varying forms. The contrast weakens claims that risk assessment alone guides these decisions. Now, the disgraced Andrew retains security despite the scandal and withdrawal from duty. Also, members of Queen Camilla's family have received publicly funded protection in circumstances where Harry was withdrawn. Harry alone was stripped of it, despite facing comparable or greater risk. Media framing exposed the pressure. As security ruling approaches, several outlets have shifted focus toward calls for Prince Harry to apologize in the name of repairing family relationships, a reframing that seeks to normalize years of institutional denial. Authorities should ground these decisions in risk and exposure, but calls for contrition recast protection as conditional on behavioral instead on threat. Now, UK media can't discuss Harry's safety without turning it into palace drama and apology bait. The public response was swift in recognition that shifts. Why should expressions of remorse matter if neutral evaluations of danger truly guide security decisions? The implication was clear. Authorities could withhold or restore protection not only on safety grounds, but as a means of exerting, that is, control. On the means of exerting control. Now, a final thought from Feminagra. If Prince Harry regains security, the outcome confirms what should never have required proof. The threat never left. The system chose delay over duty. The reversal does not signal goodwill. It reflects pressure, exposure, and institutional self-interest. Years of gaslighting carried real risk for Harry and his family. Meghan and the children owe the UK no apologies either. Restored protection does not repair trust or erase harm. It shows only that denial reached its limit. Thank you, Feminagra. How about that? All right. Let me see here. Good night, Church Nelly. Sleep well. Oh, yeah. Thank you for that. Let me put that at the top of the chat. Here is the link for Feminagra. Make sure you go over there and sign up to Feminagra. It doesn't cost you anything. There's also other reporting that has nothing to do with the royals. I should mention that more often, but Feminagra covers a lot of things, so check it out. Excellent writing, great research. It's a good source. Now, let's get to this Tom Sykes thing. Now, I told you guys I was done with Tom Sykes. I no longer look at his Substack and I don't watch his videos. He has proven himself to be even worse than most of the royal reporters. Zandy Sussex has done a lot of the heavy lifting so that we don't have to give them the engagement. Says here, apparently Willie and Kate are sick with worry at the thought of Harry getting his security back because they thought they had banished him into exile. This is the stuff of Shakespeare with a jealous and evil heir who fears his charismatic younger brother. So, according to Tom Sykes, Prince Harry's security win will sicken William. Harry seems confident he will be getting his security back, meaning he can start planning a new life with a hugely beefed up UK presence. And also it says here, sources are now briefing journalists that they believe his police protection will be restored. If it turns out to be true, it changes absolutely everything. This is the fight Harry has spent millions of dollars pursuing, the case he himself described as the most important of all. Why does it matter so much? Because it blows apart what many insiders assume was the establishment long-term plan for dealing with Harry: exile. That was a long-term plan, exile. The motto here was Edward VIII, later Duke of Windsor, who was neutralized and rendered irrelevant through banishment. Now, you know what? Let me say something. That is a huge overreach. Harry works for a living. The Duke of Windsor never really had a job in his life. Without security, Harry's trip back to the UK are complicated and expensive. But if Harry gets his security back, exile is effectively over. He can come and go from the UK at will at no personal cost. He may also, now see, that's also a lie. That is a flipping lie. At no personal cost. What does it mean at no personal cost? Does that mean that the UK is going to provide him with a flight? Does that mean that the UK is going to put him in housing? What does that mean at no personal cost? Now that right, I don't like this guy. He may also regain international protection, person status, entitled him to UK government security even overseas. It would be hugely expensive, but cost is not really the issue. So why mention it? Bothering his brother. That's not really the issue, bothering his brother. The real issue is the impression of legitimacy. Harry being whisked through London with police escort sends a particular message about his position. His position is he is a prince of the realm. Harry has been whisked through Germany. He's been whisked through Nigeria. He's been whisked through Canada. He's been whisked through Colombia. He's been whisked through Asia. So what difference does it matter where he is whisked? Huh? What difference does that make? The truth is, and this is what he's not adding to this, is that Harry gets more respect and better protection from other countries. He gets better protection in New York City now than he receives when he's in the UK. Huh? The last few times the Sussexes were in New York, they had like, what, a 7 or 8 car motorcade. Now, there was no mention of costs. I could only imagine that the Sussexes paid for it. So who cares? Being whisked around London is like being whisked around New York. People don't notice because there's people being whisked around all the time. New York and London are super international cities. There's always a head of state flying through the streets of those cities. What difference does it make? Security coverage for him. Oh, you know what, guys? I forgot. I'm looking at another screen. Let me do this. I'm looking at another screen in case you're looking for it. There it is. Security coverage for him and his family would reopen many doors that have been firmly shut for years. I have reported before that Harry intends to educate his children in England. I was once told wrongly, Harry himself later said that Eton was being considered, but my sources remain convinced that he wants them back in the UK. Partly this is about establishing them as members of the British royal family. They are members of the family. But another factor is Harry's anxiety about gun crime. Oh, come on, give it a rest. Listen to this about gun crime in the United States. A victory on security would enable a return, not as a contrite prodigal, but as the head of a parallel court trading on royal status while remaining entirely free of royal discipline. Really? For William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, for an eventual change of reign, this is an appalling prospect. Why is that appalling? If you're king and you're the queen consort, you have the top job. You ain't supposed to worry about Harry. This guy he's worried more than Will and Kate. He's more panicked. The only person who's probably equally as panicked as he is Richard Eden. Anyway, sources close to Harry remain nervous. They fear a last-minute stitch-up by Ravak, even if the risk management board rules in his favor. They are not quite ready to declare victory, but my view is that it is hard to see how this doesn't end up with Harry getting what he wants. Damn right about that. Wait. Where was I? Oh, am I here? Yeah, I'm here. So then in 2 weeks, his super case against the Daily Mail opens in London. While sources tell me Harry still absolutely wants to take it all the way, some of his co-complaintiffs are getting extremely nervous about the life-changing legal costs they could be setting themselves up for, even if they win. The decision by a key witness to repudiate their witness statement hasn't helped nerves. Anyway, judging by the way this year has already started, January is going to be lively. Well, anyway, that was that snaggertooth, Brer Rabbit looking Tom Sykes, the man who uses so much energy every day just to pull that top lip over that one tooth, that rogue tooth. That's Tom Sykes' words. There is no parallel court. There is no parallel court. When William is king, William will be king. If William has the nervous jitters about how he will be received, that's his problem, not Harry's. If you have the keys to the kingdom, you shouldn't be worrying about your little brother. You shouldn't be worrying about your sister-in-law. Go do you, boo. Just do your job and pay attention to what you got going on and stop worrying about nonsense. I mean, it's silly already. This is the same Tom Sykes who insists that Charles should relinquish power to William, and William is. Have you noticed that they're not saying that anymore? That William is gaining more and more power. Know how they kept saying that? Haven't heard that in a few weeks, have we? Huh? Haven't heard that in a few weeks, have we? What happened to all of that William seizing power? Charles made it very clear at Christmas, I'm in control. I am king, not Willie. I mean, I hate to say this, but a little, what was the queen? 5'2", the little 5 foot tall elderly woman with cancer. Yes, it was easy to take over the household. It won't be so easy with Charles. Charles has a horrible temper, and he's used to having things his way, and he's not ready to relinquish power to that dimwit. Nobody wants William to be king, quiet as it's kept. People are afraid of the fact that William is going to be king. I don't care what they say. I don't care how turned on and aroused Tom Sykes is about William being king. Most people in the firm are nervous. You just had that Rebecca English writing an article about how William and Kate are isolated. Why would she write something about them being isolated? And she's not the first one. William is withdrawing from duty. He's not getting more involved. Whatever they say, he's not getting more involved. He himself said royal with a small r. He does not want the work. He just wants to be acknowledged. Now, there was a video where Rebecca English said something about William and Kate making all of these family videos so that people can see what's happening inside the firm. They're not seeing inside the firm. They're seeing Willie and Kitty and their children walking out the door, walking across the field, waving and greeting people. That's not inside of anything. They're not seeing anything. They're not setting up a camera and leaving the camera running while they have a conversation or something like that. None of that is happening. These are little glossy videos with guitars and violins and slow motion movement. They're not seeing anything. If that is supposed to substitute work, it won't play. Cut, print, edit. It is not going to play. And at some point, they're going to get called out about it. The next time they have to count how many engagements, or not the next time, but once Charles goes into that storm cellar in St. George Chapel, once he goes down in that cellar to join his parents and his grandparents, they are going to have to up their work because people are going to be watching. William did less than half the work of his father, who is sick with cancer. And it doesn't help Kate that Charles is still able to function, and she seems to only get animated when somebody yells, "Vacation!" Wimbledon. Want to go skiing? How about a holiday? Hazel Jones says Tom Sykes knows better. As long as the monarch is having audiences with the prime minister, is handing her red box, they are in charge. Thank you, Hazel Jones. Absolutely. It seemed like he was trying to build a case. I mean, I hate to believe that Tom Sykes actually thought that by speaking it up, it was going to be true. But he was literally like trying to convince people that William is really king, that William is a regent. Now, Charles is the one who was not a regent, but really a regent. But William ain't smart enough to do that. He don't have it in him. He's got a lot of people talking to him and making him feel very important. At 40 years old, he declares that he's moving into his global statesman era. And what do I say about that? If you have to tell people that's what you are, then you're probably not. Harry doesn't call himself a global statesman, but yet he has been courting relationships with so many of them for a very long time. More of them have a hands-on relationship with Harry, or have had in the past, should I say, than William. Also, let's remember that William and Kate, have they gone on any foreign tours since the Caribbean? Have they gone anywhere? Have they done anything for the crown? I'm not talking about the Earth shot. What have they done related to the government? Where has the government asked them to go? Anywhere? I can't think of anything. And that's been what? How many years has it been? 3 years? 4 years? Since they went to the Caribbean to show Harry and Meghan how it's done. If the Royal Rota, if the British tabloid media were to be honest, Harry and Meghan have had, you can pick or choose how many you want to count, but they have had several successful tours. Whether it was for Invictus or whether it was Invictus and the, other stuff. Whatever you want to call it, they have been successful. Harry and Meghan in Nigeria, Harry and Meghan in Colombia. All of this talk about the Sussexes not being able to keep staff, their offices in chaos. If they are in effing chaos, how did they successfully take these trips abroad without one single hiccup, without one word of criticism about the expense? I mean, yeah, there were people who tried to say, oh, who's paying for this or that? Harry and Meghan shadowed the vice president in Colombia, putting them under an umbrella of protection that costs barely anything to the public. And as vice president, it's her prerogative to invite people to Colombia if she chooses to. That was genius. Genius. No extra added cost. There were no figures that were thrown out there. This is what it cost for Harry and Meghan. You didn't see anything. It doesn't exist. They paid their way. Genius. So if their office is in such chaos, how are they performing so well when they go overseas? Huh? How does that work? How can they be in chaos and effective at the same time? Successful Invictus games, successful polo matches, everything successful. Not a single hiccup. They have not returned with the level of criticism that William and Kate has had in the Caribbean. As a matter of fact, Charles hasn't either. Quiet as it's kept. You can't even put that on Charles and Camilla. So I just listened to these people criticize the Sussexes as haphazard. Everything is so out of whack and all that. Lies. They're all lies. The Sussexes have been incredibly successful. I love when they go to New York. I really do. I love when they go to New York. That's when they really shine. Actually, they shine everywhere, but New York. Could you imagine how petrified Will and Kate must be right now, knowing that there is an excellent chance that they will have to go toe-to-toe with the best again. Two of them could not outpace Harry the last time he went to the UK. The two of them together. Remember when Kate got up and went to that one event with William? She wasn't even scheduled to go, but she went anyway because they heard Harry added an event. So they thought that Kate was going to show up and bring all of this attention. Nobody even know what they did. Huh? They waste our time. They really do. They are a waste of time. Yes. And supposedly Netflix numbers aren't good, but they keep them a new contract and shows with Netflix. Yes. Why does Netflix tolerate them if they have been so bad for business? If they have suffered this great loss? First of all, we don't know what Netflix paid them. We don't know. We don't know what the old contract was. We don't know what the new contract is. We only know what the media has told us. As ever, we don't know how successful it has been. I suspect it has done incredibly well. It's outperformed everything that was expected. I'm sure of that. I saved some of the articles criticizing Meghan for the podcast. And yet, Meghan knocked Joe Rogan off of his throne of 3 years and went straight to number one. And not just in the US, but in other markets. Number one. And a couple of them were not even English language markets. Gosh, I wish they would give it a rest. I know they won't, but it gives me great comfort knowing that those two people have outperformed their expected circumstances over and over again. In particular, I am proud of their trips abroad. Without the support of the Home Office, without the support of the palace, okay, they only have their wits about them. They don't have all that other stuff. Of course, they get substantial support from the other governments. Yeah. Yeah, and they should. They're guests. They're invited. That's the other thing. They were invited. I don't know who's inviting Will and Kate. I don't suspect anybody has. Even Australia doesn't really want them. Now, I found this excellent soundbite that I'm going to play for you. Oh, I got to play this for you. I love it. Love, love, love it. They just don't know who they're messing with. That's what it is. The Sussexes have they have been remarkable. They really have. I am so proud of those two people.
Harry or Prince William?
Harry.
Do you want Harry and Meghan back in England?
Let's do that again. Okay, hold on a second.
Harry or Prince William?
Harry.
Do you want Harry and Meghan back in England?
No,
No, why?
because I think that here they have a lot of pressure from their family, and I think maybe they're just happier somewhere else.
Guys, do you want Prince Harry and Meghan to come back to England?
Yeah, why not? They're fun. Young people love them, I think.
People are way too much in his business, I think. We'll let the man be a father, let the man live. Love to have him back, though.
Okay, so back and with privacy.
Exactly.
Okay, do you want Harry and Meghan back in England?
Yes.
Yes, why?
Love them.
You love them. What about you?
Yeah, love them.
Okay, so that was Ice. What is that? Ice? Oh, wait a minute. I cannot see that. Ice. Is that, what is that? Anyway, it's on the screen. Hell, I don't know what that says. You can see it up there at the top. Anyway, you can find their videos on TikTok. Is something Britty, is it Ice Celebrity News? I Celebrity. I Celebrity. I Celebrity News. Lord have mercy. Did I tell you guys I didn't get past the 6th grade? Ice. Well, no, whatever it is. That's what it is. Y'all see it there. Kavan Slim says, just like all those predictions of the demise of Harry and Meghan's marriage. Thank you very much. Absolutely. They tried to speak doom and gloom against their relationship for years. And if I could find two people more in love, I'd be impressed. Let's see. T Mac says, wishing all my fellow squatties health, strength, and daily bread in 2026. Thank you very much. And thank you for 33 months membership. Okay. Ice Celebrity. It's I Celebrity. I Celebrity News. Huh? Is that right? I Celebrity News. Oh well. Let's see. Little Britty sound. Oh man, that's funny. Anyway, that was the thing I found. Now, this thing about royals fly equivalent of twice around the world in helicopters. Telegraph analysis shows the two choppers notched up a total of 420 hours of flying time. I honestly don't know why this is a thing. I really don't care. I really, really don't care. You know what I care about? I care about the fact that they claim that Harry and Meghan are preaching about the environment, that they are um, critical of people using fossil fuels and such, when no such statements that I could ever find has come from Harry and Meghan. In particular, Meghan. I don't know that Meghan has ever lectured anyone about the environment, but yet you keep seeing articles where they accuse them of being hypocrites. That's the only thing that I will point out about them using these helicopters. I don't really care. It's part of the job. It's like I said, I don't care for the people in the White House right now, but part of the job is Secret Service protection. Part of the job is transportation. Now, there are people that have been critical saying that they have taken it to a level never seen before in the history of the first family. I believe that to be true, but we're all going to have to tolerate it because that comes with the job. And I will not speak out against it. Just like I'm not going to speak out about the Royals and their transportation needs. However, I will call them hypocrites if they continue to go after the Sussexes. I will point out that they abuse their privilege so long as they're calling out the Sussexes, who have said absolutely nothing. Just like Princess Anne. Princess Anne ain't telling people don't use fossil fuels. What about those carbon emissions? No, she ain't the one doing that. It is her brother and her nephew. They're the ones that have foot and mouth disease. Um, Buckingham Palace defends royal family as royal helicopter mileage sparks scrutiny. Again, I don't care. It cost about I think the average they said was £17,000 for each of these trips with the helicopter. If people are comfortable with that family spending that kind of money every time they go to watch them cut ribbons or whatever, fine. I don't really care. It's not a big deal. And the fact that these helicopters have been around the world twice, well, I've had a car that has circled the world 4 times. Yeah, you put 100,000 miles on a car, and guess what? You have been around the world at what is that 4 times or more? What is the circumference? Is it 26,000 miles, something like that? So 26,000 miles you go around the earth. If you have 100,000 miles on your car, that's why I don't understand why this is a story. I really don't get that this is a story. I've seen taxis with 300,000 miles on it. So what? Now, a taxi does not use aviation fuel, which is absolutely filthy. And yes, a lot of these trips, they could go by train and they choose to fly in helicopters. They could drive a lot of these places, but they choose to use the helicopters. Right here, right here. William and Kate. There they are. And you know what? I'm going to be very generous. For the record, Kate Middleton has never mumbled a word about carbon emissions. Not one time. You've never heard Kate say anything. Actually, you'd never hear her say anything anyway. William worries about African impact on wildlife and climate, right? He worries about Africans. He has 3 children, 6 homes, and a fleet of Range Rovers, plus helicopter. The increased pressure on wildlife and wild spaces, he said, as the result of human population presents a huge challenge for conservation. William just showed his ignorance with that statement because, in comparison to Europe, Africa is very sparsely populated. It is not the most densely populated continent. Far from it. I think it ranks like what, 3rd place? Something like that. Antarctica, of course, being a continent in first place, but you see what I mean. Australia, if you count that as a continent, also very sparsely populated. But of course, it's never a problem until it involves Black people, right? Right. So I'm going to say that William is a hypocrite. That's William and Kate saving the planet. Take a look at this. Royal family flew enough air miles to get them to the moon and back in the last 5 years. And I think this article was from, I forgot what year it was. Guess what? I don't care. If it's in the execution of their business as royals, fine. I will say this much. The tabloids no longer write articles like this. But if they see Harry on a private jet, all hell breaks loose. And that's when I have a problem. No packed trains for us. Wills and Kate's commute home in £8 million helicopter, and you pay the bill. Well, look at the date. Look at the date. That was from May of 2016. Pre-Meghan. Right? Pre-Meghan. So post-Meghan, they don't write stuff like that no more. Over here, Flybe sent empty planes so William and Kate could travel economy. That one they let slip. That was back in 2019. That one they let slip. I don't know how that got passed, but they let that one slip. Yes, William and Kate had orchestrated, along with Simon Case, this scathing plan to make Harry and Meghan. I mean, they really went after Harry and Meghan when they were over there for using private jets. William and Kate, Charles and Camilla, who constantly flew private jets in places that they just really didn't have to, especially William. Now, Charles was the Prince of Wales. He could have flown commercial. He chose not to. And you know what? If he was on business for his mother, fine. William, though, who wasn't even Prince of Wales, William, the only time that I know that William took a commercial flight was when they went to Boston for the Earthshot. That was a commercial flight. We know it because they made a big point to show us Will and Kate taking a commercial flight. Harry and Meghan have flown commercial far more often than they have flown private. Usually when they fly private, in all likelihood, it is a jet that was headed that way anyhow, right? Lex says, it's the opulent lifestyle with no oversight. Taxpayer pay for increase, yet there is no transparency for the cost. Blackmail, bots, smears, etc. Thank you, Lex. And you know what I'm going to add to that too, is that for security reasons, the what is it? The Crown. What is it, the Crown? Well, let me see. Is it the Crown Estate that gives the figure? Well, anyway, the government, I'll just say the government, they won't tell us the exact cost of transportation because, and I'm talking about the cumulative cost of it, because that, along with security, they don't want to talk about for security purposes. This is why, if you do a complete cost analysis of the monarchy, it is not the figure that they release. It is actually £500 million per year. That is the real cost of monarchy, £500 million. A lot of that cost is security and transportation. There's a lot of things that are not reported for security reasons. And don't forget, they have a property portfolio. What is it, 22 estates they have, all of which have round the clock protection, not to mention the protection that Camilla has at Ray Mill, which is not even a royal property. And now Charles has purchased the property next door to Camilla, the next estate, so that Camilla will have privacy, so that her and her litter can move around without being noticed. £500 million a year is what the monarchy cost. And there is no disputing it from the palace. The palace will not dispute it. They will only push the numbers that they're comfortable with. Thank you, Legs. Let's see here. Why do taxpayers pay for Kate's vanity Christmas flop? Thank you so much for that. Because that counts as a high-profile engagement. That is to help make up for all of the work that she didn't do the entire year. I think it is breathtaking that Kate Middleton has gotten away with doing little work as long as she's been married into that family, using the excuse of morning sickness, maternity leave, and now she's got the cancer as an excuse. And when none of those work, she's raising the future king. She has had nothing but excuses. There is no way in the world that they would allow the princess of African descent to sit around and make excuses like that. No way that would happen. That's a Kate Middleton thing. That's an English Rose thing. We wouldn't understand. Thank you, Legs. Apparently, it's hypocritical for the eco warriors to use Range Rovers, gas guzzling SUVs, unless you are Prince William. If you are Prince William with friends in the gutter press, they won't call you a hypocrite, even though you, Prince William, are now claiming to care about the environment and still use your gas guzzling Range Rover SUVs and take you to and from your gas guzzling private helicopter. Now, that was written by one of the squatties in response of the attacks on Harry and Meghan. They don't report this anymore. And of course, when William went to that COP26, they actually took out a billboard, not just for him, but one for his father as well. Helicopter flights, private jets, multiple huge homes, personal train, climate change hypocrite. By the way, I don't know if you can see it, but take a look in the door of the plane. That is a pile of rags. I believe that's the Times. Also, I've seen a picture of the Daily Mail and other papers in other photos. They have their newspapers laid out for them on these helicopter flights. Cat Harlem, I haven't heard from Royal Sussex podcast in months. Happy New Year's, Baron. Have a good night, squatties. Well, thank you so much, Cat Harlem. I haven't seen your name for 40 months membership. My goodness, thank you so much for that. 40 months membership. Wow, that's a long time. Thank you very much. So, I'll just say this. What do these have in common? Sorry, there are no prizes. What does these have in common? One of the squatties made this a while ago, as you can see. What do these have in common? Anybody? What do they have in common? Yes, they are outdated. They are useless. They are unneeded. They have no place in the modern world. They do not need a prince and princess of Wales. The Rolodex, practically non-existent. The rotary phone and the horse and buggy, they are just not needed. You know, I used to have one of those Rolodexes. I think I got it from a thrift store. It was like the big metal institutional Rolodex. Very cool. I don't know what I've ever did with that thing. Oh, and the rotary phone. Click, 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 click. Click, 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 click. Now, earlier today, I didn't have much to do, so I thought I would go through all of the illustrations that I have of Will and Kate to see which one really captures their images the best, which captures their personality. Now, I'm so shady that I have actually done a little surgery on these things. I paste the images on different backgrounds. These are not the original backgrounds, but I just thought this would be more interesting. But originally, William had a little hair. I removed it. Also, this one, he had a little hair. I removed it. Same here. There was hair, but I removed it. I decided to see she's got on the engagement dress, right? So, you know, originally that actually had some hair on top, right? Not anymore. Isn't it interesting how they really capture their personalities? Yes, and what about Kate not attending? What was that, luncheon or some? It was a luncheon that she didn't go to. No explanation. And then, of course, I believe it was Rebecca English said, "Well, it was a last minute thing. There was some childcare issues." Will and Kate, with their staff of 65 people, had last minute childcare issues? Really? Really? That's so normal. It could not have been true. Um, Also, I had to shave that one clean. That's also an engagement photo. Same blue dress, but I decided to update his appearance by removing his hair. That way there's no confusion. Same here. I decided to give him a little bzzz. And this one, I'm very proud of my work. If I didn't tell you, you wouldn't know the difference, would you? I'm very proud of my work. And this one, I took it off the top here too. Because if you remember, he actually had a little hair when let me see, what year was that birth? I think he would have had hair, but I took care of that. That way he can look more up to date, Willie. I like the way they make his teeth yellow in most of the pictures. See there? I did not do anything to his mouth. That was the artist depicting him with yellow teeth. I promise you. The only thing I did was the hair. Legs says British royal family didn't want Meghan in a tiara, thus no state dinner. Thank you, Legs. Yeah, they did not want her in a tiara. They want to have her bow and curtsy to the rest of that family, but a tiara, no. But that's what they're hoping to catch on film. Oh, they want that. They want that more than the Loch Ness monster. If there was a choice, if you asked the tabloid, which would you rather? The Loch Ness monster, Bigfoot, or Meghan doing a curtsy to Will and Kate? What do you think the answer would be? I already know. Thank you, Legs. And of course, this one, I didn't have to do anything to the hair because it was already done. This was a cartoon depicting William greeting Trump over in France, right? And of course, the artist wanted you to know that the little emperor has no clothes. As well as this one, I didn't have to alter this at all because, again, this is a more up-to-date Willie. Willie tying his fortune to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is his future. And this one, of course, now this was tricky, you guys, because there was hair under that little crown, but I had to go in there and clean it up without messing up the crown. Again, I'm very proud of my work. And this one, I also see that's another engagement photo, right? I cleaned it up. I sure did. I cleaned it up. I made it up to date. And this one too. They actually blessed him with a little hair, but I wouldn't hear of it. I would not hear of it. I think this depicts the scene where he goes and attacks his brother for having the super cool, sexy, intelligent movie star wife. I think that's when he had got attacked for having the more interesting bride. And of course, this one I made myself. At least I, altered it to create Mannequin, starring Prince William and Kate Middleton. Mannequin in theaters everywhere. Yes, this is not AI. I actually had to do the old-fashioned cut and paste. And of course, that George cartoon, another depiction of William. I'm a little disappointed they didn't make his teeth yellow. They gave him a horse mouth, but no yellow teeth. Now, that was fun. By the way, you guys, we're almost done. We're almost done. I just have a few more things to share with you. Prince William has been criticized for his slender schedule in 2025, which saw him work less than a third of the days in the year. How much work did William really do in 2025? The answer is not much. I had trouble getting the article, so I didn't bother. But the answer is not much. He didn't do much work at all. That's the simple answer. Not much. Now, we're going to close with Boomer Vision. Boomer Vision. If you are a baby boomer like myself and you've grown up watching some of those shows, or if you watched Nick at Night or something like that, then you can relate to what I'm about to share with you. It's kind of fun. Wait until you see it. Wait until you see it. It's kind of fun. Do you recognize those guys? Do you all recognize those people? Da 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 da. Yes, it is a very modern, up to date I Love Lucy cast. If the Ricardos and if the Mertzes were neighbors today, this is what they would look like. Don't you love it? This is what they would look like. Oh, you know what? I'll try to do that tomorrow. The Carrie at Tubman. It'd be nice to revisit that. I hope I don't forget. But yeah, that's the Ricardos and the Mertzes. Lucy and Ricky, Viv and Fred. That is wild, right? Now, I believe AI created this from this photo. I believe that because of the colors. See how the clothes are somewhat identical? Well, the colors match. So I believe that it was based on this photo. Okay, I got one more for you. And then after that, we're just about done. How about these two? Do you recognize that couple? Huh? Do you recognize that couple? Yes, no, yes. The Jeffersons will continue in a moment. The Jeffersons was filmed before a live studio audience. Moving on up. Yes, that is what George and Louise Jefferson would look like in 2026 instead of probably 1976. But yeah, I do believe AI created this image from this one. AI is clever, isn't it? How about that? I mean, I would love to see, what it would look like if there was a new Jefferson series. They really should have a new Jeffersons. I think that would be pretty cool. Now, the last thing I have is the 45th anniversary of Dynasty is this year. Can you believe that 45 years ago, Dynasty was already in production and ready to premiere by September? So, yeah, it is 45 years because right now they would still be in production. They would before the premiere. Imagine that 45 years ago, Dynasty came on. 45 years ago. Helmet hair, shoulder pads. Hell, I thought it was a football game. Helmet hair, shoulder pads, and bad attitudes. I thought it was a football game. And of course, the king himself, Blake Carrington. I tell you, I loved me some Blake Carrington. Okay, and this is the absolute last thing I have to share for you. Nobody is thinking about you. Nobody will ever, I'm sorry, nobody was ever thinking about you. Anyhow, they aren't. They weren't. They never were. People are most likely thinking about themselves. People don't have time to worry about what you're doing or how well you're doing it because they're all caught up in their own drama. So don't forget that. Ain't nobody thinking about you. They all got their own drama going on. So stop worrying about what people think. Think about yourselves. Concentrate on you. You know, we hold back, we posture, we worry about what people might think. You know who don't worry about what people think? Successful people. Now, some of us have had a lifetime of thinking about what are they going to think? What if I don't get my hair done? What if I don't drive the right car? What if? Those people ain't thinking about you. They only care enough to try to put themselves up on top so that they can look down at you. But mostly they don't care. Like my auntie used to tell me, she'd say, don't nobody care about your problems. Most people don't care. And a lot of them, people are glad you got them. So let 2026 be the year that you stop worrying about what people think. You mind your business. You take care of your business. You get organized. You lose weight. You start working out. You find quality people to surround yourself with. And stop worrying about what people think. Now, of course, I don't mean that, whole and complete, but just as an exercise, think less about other people's idea of who you are. And you think about who you are and what you want from life. Because if you're worried about what other people are thinking about your business, you're holding yourself back. You're doing the dirty work for them. You really are. You're doing the dirty work for them. You are helping them hold you back. And life is too short for that. So handle your business, okay? Love you guys. I will see you all next time. Good night and God bless. And thank you for watching Royal Sussex.